Hey everyone, welcome back to the review show where keeping it real goes right. Welcome back to Real Take Wrestling. We're going to be talking about AEW Dynamite as I mess around with the new settings here. Welcome everyone, hope you're doing great. Be sure to follow along in the chat. Be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. What a hell of an episode of AEW Dynamite tonight. We saw Adam Copeland kick off the show, refer to some of the stuff that went down this week with CM Punk. I'm going to be breaking down that, talking about that, giving my thoughts on that, as Adam Copeland even mentioned WWE tonight on AEW Dynamite, which has so many people talking, had the arena going crazy. We also got a historic moment, not only in the history of All Elite Wrestling, but a historic moment for Swerve Strickland, who tonight I think went a very long way to proving himself to be the baddest man in AEW today, arguably the best thing going in professional wrestling. You take that, Dwayne, and shove it where the sun don't shine. No, I'm going to see The Rock this weekend. So anyway, but we got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into, a lot of fun to be had, guys. Be sure to smash that like button. That helps more people see the stream, help support the show. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, if you haven't already done so, it's a great time to plug. Oh, no, that's the wrong thing. It's a great time to plug Patreon. Real Take Wrestling over on patreon.com/Real Take Wrestling. Guys, you want exclusive content that has not been released, content that has been locked. It's in the Real Take vault, hours upon hours of watch-alongs, hours upon hours of video essays, all that kind of stuff over on our Patreon. Be sure to go check that out. But hell of a night, as I said before. Let me know what you guys thought of tonight in the chat. Be sure to subscribe as well. Let's talk about the end. Well, first, let's actually talk about... No, let's not talk about the end. Let's talk about Mercedes Moné, because Mercedes was in the building tonight. And, of course, people have been wondering, what is Mercedes going to be doing tonight? Is she going to be wrestling soon? What's the feud going to be? Because we know it's not going to be Willow versus Mercedes, right? We know that for a fact because Willow is facing Julia Hart for the TBS title at AEW Dynasty. One would think that she's going to have a match at Dynasty. I'm a little surprised. We're, 2-3 weeks out before AEW Dynasty, and a match hasn't been announced for one of AEW's biggest free agent signings. We know what, we know what everyone else is going to do. We know what the Young Bucks are going to do. We know what Swerve and Samoa Joe are going to do. We know what Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm are going to do, facing off for the first time for the Women's World Championship, a title that Thunder Rosa never lost. But it's still TBD to see what, Mercedes does. And, I have it, we've heard the rumors, right, that DMD, Dr. Britt Baker, is clear or approaching being cleared. We have heard these rumors. There's been a lot of speculation to convince people of that. But still, a lot of people aren't too sure. We aren't too sure whether or not Britt is ready to go. For me, if she is, and if she's ready to go for Dynasty, that is my first feud for Mercedes Moné. I don't think that you could pick a better opponent to kick off her feud or kick off her time in All Elite Wrestling. I don't think you could pick a bigger opponent right now in AEW outside of perhaps Tony Storm. However, you look at it, there's a built-in story with these two. Britt Baker is an AEW original. You could tell the story of her trying to defend AEW from the invading force that is Mercedes Moné. That is an easy story to tell. It's also a great story to tell between these two because these are two of the biggest stars that AEW has in their women's division. Britt Baker was a made woman by the time she had her first AEW Women's World Championship defense. She was already made, and there was nothing that's going to change that. So when you have that and you have, a star of the caliber of Mercedes, who's done it all, who's main evented pay-per-views, main evented WrestleMania, broken records, shattered through every glass ceiling that has been put before her, in a similar way that Britt Baker did when she signed with AEW after, after everything she went through. I think that is an awesome story. That is an awesome match. That is an epic first match for Mercedes Moné. And y'all might like this. Y'all might hate this. Y'all might, they're burying Mercedes. I think it would be very interesting if Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, came back, assuming she's ready to go. I think it would be really interesting if she came back and beat Mercedes. And I know what y'all are going to say. Y'all are going to say, oh my God, Mercedes can't lose in her first match. Mercedes is, as I said, she's already made. Mercedes has done it all. Facing that adversity in the beginning and a very surprising loss in her first match, I think you could set her up for a lot of success after that, because that would automatically be something different. We are very used to the formula of people coming into AEW, people who made their name elsewhere, people who are already big stars. They come in and they win. That is fantastic. But I think that there is an interesting story, and it doesn't have to be Britt Baker, but I think there is an interesting story to be told of this big star. Everyone expects her to win, and then she doesn't. And what does that do to this very confident, this very charismatic Mercedes Moné? What does that do to her psyche? What does that do to her character? It makes her go through adversity right from the start. It makes her automatically more interesting. And in the fans' minds, anything can happen. Because you don't know, are they going to bury Mercedes? I think if there was ever an appropriate moment to do that, I think this is one of those. And that's not me saying that they need to. What I would do is have them wrestle like 3 matches in a row, have Mercedes lose the first one, plant that seed of doubt, plant that seed of whether or not she actually can beat Britt Baker, and then have her win the next 2 and be dominant. And there will be no question. And what that does is the initial surprise of Mercedes, not winning is going to shock people. But then at the same time, it's also going to allow for Britt Baker to come back hot. So that's my view on that. I'm sure that many of you in the chat disagree. Let me know what you guys think of that take. Roll Tide. I put up a poll, by the way. Put up a little poll in the old chat here. Let's see. Let me see how this is doing. I asked everyone how they felt about AEW Dynamite tonight. What did you guys think? And that's a great question. What did you guys think about AEW Dynamite tonight? We got a few votes here already, and yep, we got people saying that it was a good show. But let me know in the chat. Sound off in the chat. Did you think Dynamite was a good show tonight? What was your favorite part? Let's talk about it. So let's talk about now the other news, that being Adam Copeland and his promo. So for those of you who are not aware, CM Punk this week had quite a bit to say about his time at All Elite Wrestling. And essentially, by the way, I have a 50-minute video that kind of breaks down everything Punk had to say about AEW. It's on the channel. Please go check that out. It's very informative. And I think if you haven't seen the interview, I think it does a great job of condensing all of it down to what's important and really breaking down the different things that he's talking about. So Punk goes off on this interview. He calls Tony Khan a clown. He says everything under the sun that a lot of people do believe by AEW, that it's not a business, it's not profitable. One of the most insane lines was that AEW will only remain in business or remain open for as long as Tony Khan wants to fund it. And that's like, okay. Punk obviously had a he had some problems, to say the least, during his time in AEW. That's fine. We all understand that. And, like, some of that is other people's fault. Some of that is his fault. Some of that is Tony Khan's fault. I think there's a lot of blame to go around in that situation. But the question was, how are people going to respond? Immediately, you got people online saying, oh my God, take Tony Khan's phone away from him. Like, he's going to go crazy. Oh no, what's he going to say? And he didn't say anything. And, nothing of consequence was done. Nothing of consequence was said. Fundamentally, nothing happened there. Instead, we got some pretty unfortunate news that AEW released people, which I think I will talk about in the context of what we know. Eddie Kingston actually had some very interesting things to say about that, and I'll go into that later on in the show. But we have this big shadow that is kind of looming over this week in this episode. Well, two big shadows. One, the releases, obviously. The other one, CM Punk. Show kicks off. Adam Copeland's music comes on. We get the, on this day, I see clearly. Everything is gone no more. Get a pain and a broken dream and leaving all behind. There you go. You're welcome for that one. By the way, what's up? You're Joe's. Hello, Omer. Nice to hear your analysis as always. And the new logo is cool. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. We got a bunch of new things. But anyway, so Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge, comes out and he grabs the mic. There's some technical difficulties as he's grabbing the mic. It's really funny. But he essentially cuts this promo, and it reminded me a lot of that first Jon Moxley promo, if y'all remember, from back at All Out, the night after All Out 2022. So this was right after the CM Punk press conference and the fight that took place backstage. And that night it was announced that the titles were all vacated. And the second person to come out, because MJF was the first person to come out that night, but was Moxley. He grabbed the mic and he cut this very impassioned promo about what All Elite Wrestling means. And he talked about, and he discussed like why it's important and what it did to the wrestling business. And in a very similar vein, Adam Copeland comes out and he talks about, his own perspective. He talks about how he is going to end his career in AEW and how he chose AEW as the place where he ends his career. And, it was in a similar way. It's almost like an active, kind of defense of the company. People are going to criticize that. There are going to be a lot of people, I am very sure, who say that, oh my God, Tony Khan, he's paying them. He's paying them to go out there and say good things about the company. Well, he is paying them. That is true. People are being paid by Tony Khan. Wow, big shocker there, internet. But I think that the idea that, people are paid to go out there and say nice things. I mean, people go out and are paid to say nice things about WWE all the time. It's just, when you work for someone, there is a certain level of courteousness that you're going to have towards the company you work for, even if you don't necessarily like it. There's always going to be a little bit of that. Anyway, that's a side point. But Copeland comes out. Copeland then talks about what AEW means. But then he also talks about how it doesn't matter whether you like AEW, whether you like WWF. He mentioned it. He mentioned WWF tonight on Dynamite, which had the crowd booing. And then, he's like, oh, come on. No, we all love wrestling. That's what this is all about, right? And he mentions WWF. He then talks about how, whether it's WWF, NWA, whatever you like, whatever you watch, one thing we all agree on is that we are fans of professional wrestling. There's been a lot of stuff that's been said. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened this week, but none of that matters. All that matters is great wrestling. And I thought Adam's promo was great. I think he said, here's a direct quote from him. He said, quote, "There's been a lot of negative BS that's been spewed this week. There has. Screw that. I want to talk about the positives. AEW makes pro wrestling fun, better, and AEW is where the best wrestle." Now, of course, is that a little cheesy considering they've been really pushing the AEW where the best wrestle stuff is, which, by the way, I think is like a pretty good like slogan. Like where the best wrestle, like that's dope. It's way better than WCW, where the big boys play. When the big boy, we're gonna be playing. Like, no, we don't need all of that. We don't need any of that. We're good. We're chilling. We're booling. We're straight booling, bro. Anyway, so Copeland cuts this promo, says that none of this BS matters, none of this negativity matters. The positive parts of professional wrestling are why we watch. And then he introduces Will Ospreay, and then to kick off the night, we get Ospreay versus Hobbs in a dope match. Ospreay ended up picking up the victory, after which Hobbs was very unhappy. And we're starting to see, we're beginning to see more and more fractures between Will Ospreay and the Don Callis family. And the story that they're telling here is very interesting. Because the Don Callis family, right, they're the ones who brought Will Ospreay into AEW. They're the ones who brought him, to North American television. That's what Don Callis said. Like, he is taking essentially all of the credit for Will Ospreay's success. And we saw this with Takeshita after their match. There was a bit of hesitancy in being cordial there. There was some tension between those two there. And now we saw it after the Will Hobbs match. We didn't see it after the Kyle Fletcher match because those two have known each other for years and were partners. We're in the same stable together in United Empire. So, of course, like that's going to be a bit of an outlier, but they are 100% trying to build up this story of Will Ospreay's first real feud outside of the Bryan Danielson thing is going to be against the Don Callis family. And that's going to be, I think, who he's going to be battling throughout the summer. Interesting thing is he's already beaten basically all of them. like Will Ospreay's just gone through, beaten down these people. And, I think like it's going to make for some very interesting TV moving forward because Don Callis is as good as anyone at getting heat. Will Ospreay right now is one of the most over talents there is in not just AEW, but WWE, wherever. There is definitely going to be some interesting matchups that they could do here, some interesting stories they could tell. The best part is, though, I think the promos are going to be hilarious. Like, you have Don Callis, who is great. He has this weird way of, doing hyperbole, which is that's at the same time kind of comedy, but also very he means it, and he genuinely means it. Like back when he was managing Kenny Omega, he's like it doesn't matter who came before him, Gotch, Bockwinkel, Flair, Hogan, named every single popular world champion of the past 100 years, and then he immediately goes, I introduce to you Kenny Omega, the best pro wrestler of the past 10,000 years. And you believe him. And he's saying now a very similar thing about Will Ospreay, right? So in that, we're all sitting here thinking about Ospreay, what he's what he's gonna be doing, who's he gonna be going up against? He's gonna be going up against Don Callis on the mic, and Will Ospreay already knows a hilarious promo, but in the same way, it's funny, but it's charming funny, not comedy funny, if that makes sense. It's like, bruv, look at you, bruv, look at your hair, bruv. I got more follicles on my little forehead than you got on your whole body, bro. It's just going to be hilarious. Shout out to Will Ospreay. But Ospreay and Hobbs had a really good match, I thought. A very fun and exciting way to kick off Dynamite tonight. And, this was a night of really fun matches. But also one very shocking moment. Because not only did we get some tension between Will Hobbs and Will Ospreay, Battle of the Wills, Will Squared, we also got more than some tension between Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. Trent Beretta has betrayed Orange Cassidy. He has betrayed the best friends. The best friends are no more, because tonight, Matthew Nicholas Jackson teamed up against Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta with a shot at the finals in the AEW Dynasty World Tag Team Tournament on the line, and they lost. And at the end, they're all sitting there. Trent Beretta was visibly upset, and he couldn't believe it. Another match, another shot of the tag titles, and another L. Every single time this man tries to get a dub in AEW, every single time there's some momentum behind him, every single time that Trent Beretta looks like he's about to break through that glass ceiling, it's just not enough. Doesn't matter if he has a neck fusion. Doesn't matter if the man goes through hell, puts his body on the line. Doesn't matter if he gets his body in a good shape. Because at the end of the day, the result is the same every single time. Beretta loses. So, all of that bubbling up over the past few years, I think is finally in character, it's gotten to him. And he's looking at Orange Cassidy. He's looking across the ring, because the way it happened was interesting. They were going in after the match to do their best friends hug, each one of them in a different corner. And as they start to approach each other, Beretta just goes running full speed at Orange Cassidy and gives him a running knee, knocking him out. And I think in that moment, and this is the way I'm perceiving this, we'll see what AEW does on TV. But in that moment, Beretta looked at Orange Cassidy across the ring, and he saw every single thing that he feels like he's supposed to be. Trent Beretta looked across the ring and saw a multiple-time international champion. Trent Beretta looked across the ring and a guy who's main evented an AEW pay-per-view. Trent Beretta looked across the ring at a guy who gets Tony Khan to purchase his own theme music, who gets the ability to sell a lot of merch, who has the most viewed videos in AEW YouTube history. All the popularity, fans dressing up as him for these shows. He's looking across the ring and everything he feels like he should be. And he just snaps. And Trent Beretta looks at Orange Cassidy and says, "Nah, I'm better than you." Because no one knows Orange Cassidy better than Trent Beretta and these guys. He genuinely feels like he's better. It's crazy, man. Tonight's Dynamite was really good. It was a really good show. And I haven't even talked about the real. I haven't even talked about the real big thing. I talked about what everyone wants to talk about. Poor Sue. Poor Sue. Sue at ringside. No, poor Sue. Oh, poor Sue. Don't even. Oh my God. She must be so ashamed of her boy. Like I did not drive you all the way to Worcester, Massachusetts for you to fight with your best friend. Go say sorry to Orange right now. Go apologize to Orange right now. Go apologize to him right now. How dare you? That's your friend. You don't hurt your friend, Trent. What is Trent short for anything? What's this man's full name? Hold up. Because, she'd be pulling out the middle name on him. Oh my God, this is a wild name. Gregory Marasculo. Gregory Marasculo. Go apologize to your best friend right now. You know damn well Sue's sitting there like yelling at Trent. He's like, "Yo, no TV. No TV. In bed by 8. Trent, Gregory, I don't want to hear a single word out of you." You know damn well he's getting cooked. He's getting absolutely berated by his mother after the show. Shout out to Sue. We love you, Sue. There's a lot of possibilities, though, that they can take this feud in. A lot of different directions this feud can go in. Either way, I'm excited because we are finally seeing evolution in the character of Trent Beretta in AEW. This is someone who we've talked about for a while as, he's got a lot of potential. He's been kind of pegged his entire time, the past 5 years in AEW, as a bit of a tag team guy. But now we are getting to the point where we are finally seeing him break out as a singles guy. And he has so much ability in the ring. And I think Trent Beretta as a singles act has an enormous amount to offer. It is just upon AEW to provide him with the good storytelling and material to make it work. I think what I just laid out there, with the motivation that I laid out there, the split decision that I made out there with Trent Beretta looking across Orange Cassidy and seeing everything that he feels like he should have been, because he knows that he's more serious than Orange Cassidy, because he knows he's better in the ring than Orange Cassidy, because he knows he's bigger, faster, stronger, everything you need to be in order to be called better. Yet that's the guy who gets all the adulation. That's the guy whose music plays when I come out with him. That's the guy who gets his name chanted, and I don't. At some point, you got to break through and start telling some of these more interesting stories and really break through the motivations. Why did he attack him? He can't just be, yeah, I wasn't getting anywhere with these guys, these losers. I'm Trent Beretta. Like, you can't be doing all that. Like, don't get me wrong, it would be hilarious if Trent Beretta just came out and was like, rah! Like, it would be hilarious. But I'd also be like, bro, what are you doing? What's the point of this? Like, he was very serious when he turned on Orange Cassidy. There has to be a serious reason for it. That's all I am saying. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys thought, though, of that segment. What do you guys think of my fantasy booking? Let me know. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. There was more on this show. We got TD in the chat saying, I do appreciate this Joe Swerve work. Yeah, the Joe Swerve stuff was actually really good. I will talk about that to wrap up the show. But first, we got to talk about Willow Nightingale coming out and doing this promo. So Willow Nightingale and Stokely Hathaway, as well as Chris Statlander, come out and they do this promo where they're being interviewed by Renee Paquette. And Renee asks Willow about her upcoming match against Julia Hart at AEW Dynasty, a show I will be at, a show that I'm really excited for because we get to see the American Dragon. Y'all remember that show? Please tell me y'all remember that show. Please tell me y'all remember that show. He's the American Dragon. Hold on, let me see if I pull up a little bit of music here. Let's go, American Dragon. He's the Jake Long, right? Yeah, it was the American Dragon, Jake Long. Hold up. Oh God, hold up. Dragon. Yeah, anyway, if Bryan Danielson ever comes out to that song, I will lose my shit. I'm sorry I did that. That was more than a quick aside. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry about your damn luck. Anyway. What was I talking about? Willow, how'd I get to... I'm mad I went from Willow to the American Dragon, Jake Long. I apologize, people. I'm sorry to Willow, mainly. What else are you talking about? Willow. So Willow cuts his promo. Talks about her motivations. And then Stokely Hathaway. God bless Stokely Hathaway. The same man who said that Chris Statlander is, quote, thicker than a Snickers. unquote, comes out there and hypes up Willow Nightingale like it is nobody's business. I genuinely believe this. Stokely Hathaway, when given the opportunities on the mic on American television, primetime American television, is one of the best talkers there is. The fact that he has been in AEW for as long as he has, and he's had the minimal time to be able to do that he has, is shocked me. I think that this is a guy who should be managing an entire stable of and I'm not saying like it should be a stable like that the firm. I'm talking about a stable across like different divisions in AEW, because he's the guy that people want as their agent. And I think eventually we will get to a point where Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale do break up. And there's the potential here that Stat is the one who costs Willow the match at AEW Dynasty in a few weeks. Which, if you ask me, that's cool as hell. Cool as hell. I want to see that feud. But then, obviously, Stokely does his thing. He talks a big game. He hypes up Willow. And then we hear... CEO. Mercedes Money comes out. And the crowd goes wild. Everyone's chanting CEO. And Mercedes basically just gives Willow a reminder that she's waiting in the wings. And that Willow shouldn't get too comfortable. The tension they're showing between these two and the smile that Mercedes is giving Willow, you know damn well when they get in the ring, that match is going to absolutely slap. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. Going to be wild. Going to be absolutely insane. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing these two, you know, just like and tell that story of Willow being the person who injured Mercedes, put her on the shelf, cost her the strong championship. I think there's a lot there. We got Charles in the chat saying, yeah, Penta also seemed to be snapping like Trent and starting to claim some gold versus Adam also. Yeah. Trent Beretta started a little bit of a trend there. Like Penta's promo, like that was really cool. So Penta, for those of y'all who didn't see this part of the show, Penta Zero Miedo was doing a backstage vignette where he basically challenged Adam Copeland in the Cope Open this coming Saturday, which obviously being recorded as we speak right now. And it's going to be Adam Copeland versus Penta for the TNT title. This is an awesome match. Like, man, like, look, if I was not going to be at WrestleMania on Saturday, or if WrestleMania wasn't Saturday, I'd be watching that match for sure. That match is going to have to wait a little bit. I'm going to be wrestled out. I'm going to be at WrestleMania, by the way. It is official. I will be there. Just bought my tickets. I'm super, super hyped. If you're also going to be at WrestleMania, let me know. Hit me up on the X. But I think these two are going to throw down. It's going to be awesome. Like, Penta is, like, we forget, man. Penta is still such an epic worker. Like, he is such an epic worker. And, like, his ability in the ring is just... He's a guy we need to see in more singles matches because I think people forget how good he is. Remember, the original All In, like he was the guy. Like he was the main event. Like, so there's a reason why this dude has gotten as far as he has in pro wrestling. It's because he not only has the ability to do what he does great in the ring, but it's also great, you know, great in the ring as a tag team wrestler, but also as a singles act. Like, he has everything you would want in, you know, one of your top guys, genuinely. So I'm hyped to see that match. Absolutely hyped to see that match. Sound off in the chat. What do we got here? We got Will versus Adam. Gonna be very interesting. Will versus Adam. That's gonna happen one day, man. It is going to happen one day. I promise you that. Definitely gonna happen. Shout out to you, Nolara. Well, he also had a match to determine the number one contender for the AEW Women's World Championship at Dynasty. Tony Storm's protege, Mariah May, going up against the former AEW Women's World Champion, Thunder Rosa, who, remember this, never lost her title. Thunder Rosa picked up the dub here tonight, as expected, as is tradition. Continuing her dominance, picking up right where she left off back when she was champion. Remember, Thunder Rosa, she hasn't wrestled since the summer of 2022 for that AEW Women's World Championship back when she was defending it. So this is her first crack to get her title back. A title, again, that she never lost. She had to vacate it due to injury, and there was an interim champion announced. And that interim champion just so happened to be timeless Toni Storm. We're going full circle with this. It's almost as if Toni Storm, in order to validate her own title reign and the lineage of this reign, has to defeat the woman who, again, never lost. Easy story to tell. Awesome story to tell. This match will deliver. Because I promise you this, Thunder Rosa, I'm just saying there's a good chance she wins this match. There's a really good chance she wins, I think. Because it would be insane if she didn't. Like, I love Toni Storm. I love timeless Toni Storm, but like, you want to shoot some energy into this women's division. I'm telling you, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, that's a world title match you could do. Thunder Rosa, Mercedes May, that's a world title match you could do. Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter whenever she returns. I'm Jamie Hayter. It's all gonna be epic. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to y'all. Shout out in the chat. Be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. What else? Well, what else? I'll tell you what else. Well, ladies, gentlemen, people of all genders, this was an absolutely epic Dynamite that had an absolutely epic ending. The main event was a contract signing between the world champion Samoa Joe and the challenger Swerve Strickland. Swerve comes out wearing a big-ass fur coat, had a big-ass chain around his neck, and looking fearless in the face of the monster who has held that AEW World Championship for over 3 months, has not lost, and likely who believes that he will beat Swerve at Dynasty. I don't believe that, but I think he does. So they go back and forth. Samoa Joe says an absolutely insane line referencing P. Diddy, which I ain't going to say on the air, but it was wild, and it got big response. He signs his contract. Swerve takes the mic. And he basically says that, like, Joe, I live for this. And then these two go face to face. Swerve hasn't signed his contract yet, but they go face to face. And then they start attacking each other. Swerve takes the chain that's around his neck in an awesome move. Immediately goes to choke Joe out. Joe, though, very strong, rips the chain off and absolutely pulverizes Swerve Strickland. Beats him into a bloody pulp, and then leaves his ass in the ring before Swerve gets a chance to sign his contract, goes up the ramp, and then we just see this image of Swerve Strickland, microphone in hand, pen in the other, crawling to that contract. And he takes the mic and he says, Joe, I live for this shit. And he then takes his blood and he signs the AEW World Championship contract with his own blood, which causes Samoa Joe to come back, deliver an Uranagi, throw him through a table. This segment did more for Swerve Strickland than any promo, any match could. this segment showed you that Swerve ain't just the guy who's about taking shortcuts. Swerve ain't just the guy who's about getting people to help him. Swerve stands on business. And he's a guy who's willing to get down, dirty, get battered and bruised, do everything possible to keep that AEW World Championship, or to get that AEW World Championship. We're getting a different Swerve. I'm telling you. This was awesome. You haven't seen it, I highly suggest y'all go watch. Charles in the chat says, Joe and Swerve reminded us why the main event of Dynasty, it was some elite level segment. Yep. I mean, like, look, I was one of those guys who was like, oh, man, like, you're not going to have Bryan and Ospreay in the main event. And, like, while I do still think that's a match that probably, does deserve the main event, in the same vein, I'm also sitting here like, well, Swerve reminded us tonight why he deserves to be in the main event and exactly why we all want him to win the world title belt. And it's awesome because this was a guy who came from another company, and this was a natural build to him being an undeniable world champion. And I just think that's so cool. And I think the character is cool. And we're in for a hell of a match. Like, I think Samoa Joe is going to absolutely pulverize Swerve in this match, and Swerve is going to pull one out. I can't wait. Well, guys, this has been a fun show. We ran through the entirety. We ran through all of AEW Dynamite tonight, and it was an epic show, as I said before. Overall, if I had to rate it, I'd give this probably like a 7.8 on the scale of 1 to 10. Awesome Dynamite. And I definitely cannot wait for Dynasty. I also will, by the way, be at WrestleMania. If you're going to be around for WrestleMania weekend, hit your boy up. Let me know what's good. Let me know what's popping. Let me know what y'all going to be doing. Until next time, though, guys, be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already. Be sure to subscribe for exclusive content over on patreon.com/Real Take Wrestling. For as little as $5 a month, you can unlock hours of content exclusive to Patreon. You can also get a bunch of videos that are going to be exclusive to there, a bunch of the video essay booking videos that I'm going to be doing before everyone sees them, before they're released to the public. They'll all be on there, patreon.com/Real Take Wrestling. Oh, Charles just reminded me, I didn't talk about something. Do you think we'll get Bang Bang Gang versus The Acclaimed? I didn't even talk about this. So, real quick, Jay White faced off against the badass Billy Gunn tonight. And Daddy Ass was very mad. He interrupted Jay White's entrance. Match ended with Jay White delivering a low blow to Daddy Ass. And as the Ass Boys are about to beat down Daddy Ass, then we get the Acclaim for the run-in and the save. Yes, we are getting Bullet Club Gold, Acclaimed, Dynasty with unification for the Trios belts on the line. This is something I've talked about quite a bit on the channel. They need to unify these belts. They need to get one set of Trios belts. You do not need two sets of Trios belts. I understand that Ring of Honor, is a different show. But if you're going to have Ring of Honor Trios belts, number one, they shouldn't be on AEW TV at all. And if you're going to do that, you might as well just merge them. Like, they should just be one belt. And I think that's what they're going to do. If I had to predict right now, I think Bang Bang Gang walks away as the undisputed AEW Trios champions. That's what I would do. That's what I think the people want to see. Like, and that's no hate on the Acclaimed. I just think the Acclaimed at some point need to evolve the characters. I think Bowens and Caster are both ready now. If they want to pull the trigger, they're both ready for their individual singles run. And, now might be the time. Now might be the time. So that's what I think. Good question, you Charles. Anyway, guys, patreon.com/Real Take Wrestling. $5 a month. Support the channel. Support the community. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's late. It's 11 p.m. I haven't slept in a few days. I'm tired. Appreciate all you turning out, from Charles to TD to No. Appreciate all of you. Until next time, everyone. WrestleMania, so much to talk about, so much to see. Patreon, also so much to talk about, so much to see. Actually, before we wrap up, let me just quickly give y'all before we wrap up, I do have one thing I want to say. For those of y'all who are still wondering, we have more shows to do over the next few days. Tomorrow, I don't know who yet, but I'm going to bring on people for a WrestleMania 40 preview show tomorrow night on the channel. Sunday morning, because I'm going to be doing the Sunday morning, I'm going to be doing the WrestleMania 40 post show. That is because I will be at WrestleMania on Saturday. Won't be able to do a post show that night. And then on Sunday evening, I will be doing a WrestleMania Night 2 post show. So a lot of content coming up, and a lot of stuff. I can't wait to share the time, share the memory, share the laughs with y'all. Until next time, though, guys, I appreciate y'all for turning out. I thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.